In my opinion, the best way to dominate the kitchen is to get really fast. So these are meals that I've done in less than 30 minutes. And when it comes to meal prep, you definitely don't want to be taking too long. Otherwise, you might be discouraged and you might not want to do it. So in order to get this done, I make sure to prioritize it and just go as fast as I can. Now, if you want any of these recipes, just let me know. I can drop them in the description. But overall, this is stuff that I really enjoy eating. It's super easy to make in my opinion. And if you can get something going like this, you can minimize the suffering. You just have to prioritize it. And if you're really pressed on time, I have what's called a 10-minute meal. It's something that I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on. It goes together super fast, pretty much just whip up the ingredients. So even when you're really pressed for time, you can still make something that's kind of good and actually tastes pretty decent in order to keep in your deficit. And that's what's most important, is to making sure whatever you're putting together is low in calories, high in protein, figuring out ways to put combos together that you like. For today, we're just going to go through some super fast recipes I like to make, things that you can spin. You can change the ingredients if you want. So overall, the whole point is just showing you that I can make this super simple. Now, quick oats is one that you can find a million recipes on this. It's really just how you put it together. And when I'm in a hurry, this one's super easy because you can keep the protein high, the nutrient density high. I'm generally going to obviously use oats and then some sort of maybe whey powder and a fruit. The fruit I like to choose usually is blueberries, just because you get a lot of volume for the calories. And so it's one that you keep in the freezer. Those are just frozen berries. Then else I'll generally keep in the freezer is a nut, and this is just sliced almonds, so it gives it that little bit of extra crunch, something I like when I'm eating this instead of it being kind of mush. And then just some liquid. It's that simple, really. You don't have to overcomplicate this. Just pick the things you like, add them into the FitnessPal, and get the calories and macros that you want, and then you can put it all together in a bowl and mix it together. So if you pick something here like Silk or almond milk, generally going to be lower in calories if you want to save there. So once you figured out all your ingredients, you're just going to kind of throw them in the bowl, combine them, mix it together, put it in the fridge, and let it sit overnight. And you can stir it up. And the hardest thing about this one is maybe finding out the ratio, getting the texture you want. But to me, I just care about getting the, say, calories and the macros right when I'm in a deficit, more than, say, the flavor and the texture and the presentation. But if that's something that's important to you, then prioritize it, make it to where it's pretty and looks good, and enjoy them. Now, this next recipe is something that's very unique. You're not going to find this anywhere because it's something I do when I'm really on the quick and I just don't have a lot of time, or I didn't make breakfast. It's something that is kind of catchy by the name. You're thinking like, what in the world, prison porridge? Well, yeah, it sounds terrible because it's not the most flavorful, but it's super fast. I'm a big fan of grits, and the way to make them taste good is using low calorie or 0 calorie seasonings, and then pretty much just toss in some egg whites and whip it up. This comes together in less than 5 minutes, and it kind of reminds you of something that the lunch lady would just slap on your plate. It doesn't look super appetizing, but I love it. And in order for me to hold the deficit, I really have to keep focus. And this is one of those meals that just remind me eating can be a little bit of a job, a little bit robotic, but I know I'm getting towards my goals, and that's what's important, is that I'm moving in the right direction and not, say, straying or eating something else or getting something convenient, because that's the way I would start falling off, by going to pick something up and getting over on calories. And therefore, this is why I really like this dish, because I stay low on calories. I can keep it around 250, keep my protein high. Yeah, it's got low carbs in it, low fat, but ultimately this keeps me full enough if I need a morning where I just need to save on calories and just have some coffee with it, and I'm ready to go. Obviously going to pound my water after just to increase the fullness, and then I'm done. I'm ready to move on with my day. Now, this is actually a really good dish. I like this. Let's just talk about a couple things real quick. It's something you've already seen, pretty much using that substitute pasta. Right now it's a vegetable base, and one thing I'll say about these is they tend to get me a little bit gassy, but overall I don't care, especially in a deficit. I just want to make sure to keep the calories low, make this taste good. And so that's a Alfredo sauce that's much lower in calories, and I have 2 pounds of shrimp there, and that's going to make this dish a lot higher in protein, is using a little more meat. But shrimp is one of those ones that's lower in fat, but I like it because I like the taste, and you can season them how you like. Now, if you didn't want to cook the shrimp, you can just buy pre-cooked, which is going to be way easier. But this is one that I had in the freezer. I just pulled it out, thawed it the day before, and they were the shell off and already deveined. So that's the one that if you're going to buy the version with the shell on, it's going to take you forever to peel. I don't recommend doing that, especially if you're trying to be quick with this. Now, one thing I did, and you probably seen, is I had a hot sauce I was going to add to this, and I waited because these were going to be available in the fridge in case anybody else wanted to eat them, in my household, and then I can just add the hot sauce later. Hot sauce tends to kind of suppress my appetite, so this doesn't have a lot of volume to it, but if I add spice, I'm definitely going to be, say, satiated enough after I have all my fluids. So there you go. Pretty much that takes about 10 minutes, if you get the shrimp ready to go. And now I just got to add everything into my FitnessPal, scan it all in, make sure, to add the quantities correct. And then when it's all said and done, this meal is about 370 calories, and I got almost 50 grams of protein, which is great. So for those of you who struggle with adding protein, one way to do it is just kind of double up on that meat portion, and that's how I do it sometimes. and there's multiple ways to do this. So make sure it tastes good, make sure you like it, and that's it. Easy peasy, another one in the books.